Hi there, this is Laura with Mastering Your Abundant Career. I'd love to spend a few moments with you going over the program that we're launching in Early Bird Special this week so that if you want to jump on it, you know that this is a good thing for you to jump on because we only have 50 enrollment spots available this week at the Early Bird Enrollment Special. So real quick, I want to just get right to the program to tell you what we're putting together and when it might be a useful program for you to come on board with. If you've had an experience in marketing in the last, few years, where you've arrived at a place in your life where you've decided to go into business for yourself, to work for yourself, and you've seen this as like a big leap, probably, like I have as well, where all of a sudden you don't have to work for someone else, and this frees up an inordinate amount of time and energy and resources in your life. And a lot of people are really making amazing strides today in what I call the inspired lifestyle design set of folks that we seem to be hanging out with more and more. People who are really taking control of their life and their destiny back into their own hands. Like me, a lot of these people are choosing to leave regular jobs and go into business for themselves. But very often what happens when we first start exploring the possibilities around working for ourselves is for some reason we just don't believe that we can do what we really in our heart of hearts know is our calling on the planet. We just don't think we can do whatever that calling is for money. I ran my first successful entrepreneurial endeavor in 2009, and I've been building my career on the foundation of that first successful year ever since. I've developed the virtual tarot school. I teach people to read tarot cards via online video trainings. I taught myself to do video. I taught myself to create that website. I taught myself to do everything that made that career go. And I know that for myself, when I was in the middle of creating all of this, of creating my yoga festivals, of creating virtual tarot school, of creating healing with the archetypes and the chakra intuition system and pranic intuition trainings, and the holistic arts journal and the almanac of the spirit, which is an online magazine and a conference series now, and many other events that I've put together. For the first few years here, as I've been building all of this, it was really hard to keep in my sights my goal, which was not only having my own independent lifestyle, independent of a career. I wanted more than just that. I wanted it to be the perfect career for me. And the more I've rolled through launches and event promotions and production schedules and created more and more of my own stuff in the last 6, 7, and even 8 years now, I found that really and truly I was becoming more of myself as I went along. Things that weren't incredibly well aligned with my dharmic purpose, my life purpose, wouldn't do so well. And over time, I've noticed this. I've noticed that the things that ended up feeling like the most well-aligned things, the things that I was actually enjoying putting together because they were in some sense what I was here to do on the planet, those things ended up converting better anyway. They ended up just being more fun to put together. When I found something that was really aligned with my life purpose, the work involved in actually creating money off that passion was effortless feeling. Sometimes it was a huge amount of work, but it felt effortless. It felt like it gave me energy more than it took energy away from me. And I really believe that when you are living completely in your life purpose, yes, there will be a lot of work, but you will welcome that work and you will enjoy that work. And that work will actually give you more energy than it depletes from you. So I don't know how much of that makes sense, but that's essentially what I've learned putting together my own stuff over the last 8 years. And really and truly, if you wanted to summarize everything that I've learned about putting together my own independent entrepreneurial careers and aligning them more and more congruently with what I feel is my true life calling and my life purpose. For instance, virtual tarot school feels very on purpose for me because I love talking about tarot cards. I could talk about tarot cards all day long, and that gives me an outlet not only to do that, but to get paid for doing that, which is just great by my own standards. So what I found as I've really walked these paths over the last 8 years of developing everything that I've developed, of creating everything that I've created, is not only is the work easier and more enjoyable and feeds me more energy when it's more aligned with my life purpose, but the work ends up being more abundant for me. It ends up making more money. Period. It is just that simple. When I am doing what I am supposed to be doing, it makes me more money. And, now when I get around people in my coaching groups and at my events and in my trainings and on my teleseminars, and even people who write to me after reading my blog and things like that, I really end up telling them over and over again to not listen so much to the people who say, oh, you shouldn't do that thing that you have a lot of passion around doing because it's not going to convert. It's not going to make enough money. People aren't going to be into what you're doing. That is, in my experience, simply not true. The more aligned I am with my life purpose, the better my projects do. I rarely bother with things like, testing a product idea. I will test an email, I will test a subject line, I will test a banner image, I will test a layout of my website, I'll do all of those sort of testings. But products themselves, I'll package them in a few different ways to see how they convert better. But the actual product ideas, the stuff that I create, just comes from my own impetus of knowing more and more clearly what I am here to do. And in my programs, I try to really encourage all of my students to go with those things that they have a passion around creating. Listen to yourself, listen to your own inner self before you listen to people who want to tell you to test product ideas, okay? Some very weird, icky products come into our world when the products are created simply because they make money. When we turn that around and we just invest very heavily and energetically in the belief that actually when we are doing what we are here to do on the planet, we will make money, period, right? That's the belief to get invested in. That's the belief to get behind. And when you have gotten behind that belief, do me a favor. I want to meet you. I want to see you at Career Alchemy, and I'd love to have you as a student in a course. And I've got this course and an online mastermind group and some bonuses and tickets to Career Alchemy Live in this package that we've put together for you this week, which is called Mastering Your Abundant Career. And what I'm really aiming to do in this package, if you come on board and buy this package, you have a couple of options of doing that with us this week. One is you get everything on this screen for $350. I know you see different price points in different little boxes here. Those are just showing you what those things individually sell for. But today you can get all of this combined for $350, or you can do a couple of $97 a month payments. We can do that in 4 monthly payments for you if that's a more accessible way for you to go ahead and get this package for yourself. When you get this package, you get enrolled in our online mastermind group. The online mastermind group is a group that I'm in each and every day. It's hosted in social media for you, but it's private and just available for our members. And in there, you get to interface with me personally. So I get to do some personal coaching for you around you developing your life purpose-centered career. And, there's a lot of one-on-one support in that group too, if you have technical questions around any sort of techie piece of, developing anything that you're actually doing for your business. We do all of that strategic work and we do all of that technical how-to as support. You have all of that too in this group. But I really think after 8 years of creating my own abundant career, the real value in having an online group like this is to talk to people that are going to carry you in the right vibration for your success, including me. Like, I really needed to step up and do a group like this for a long time. So I'm finally getting this group on its legs, and we've got some members in there already, because what I was realizing is everyone around me who was also trying to create a career where they were doing what they wanted to do, we run into a lot of sort of pushback or resistance from our surroundings, from our environment, and from the people we're around every day. Very often in our own communities and hometowns, we don't know many people doing what we're doing. We're kind of the weird ones in our town. And so it's very hard to have a support group of people who are just like you, and people who are going to carry the right vibration for you to do this is just as important as all of that know-how and techie stuff. So, when you come up with the next expansive what-if idea, and you probably know how valuable expansive brainstorming is to what you've already generated some ideas around doing in your business. And if anyone comes in to that expansive brainstorming, for instance, just to give you one example, like one that we can probably all relate to, because we probably all tried to do an exercise like this. And if you haven't, let's pull this back one step further. Imagine a 6-year-old little girl just brimming with possibility about every amazing experience she can have on the planet Earth. And she's there in her room with her crayons and her markers making a vision board, right? Have you ever made a vision board? My daughter does this with her friends in her room now. And I used to do it in front of her a lot when she was little. I would show her basically how to set a goal in a very physical sense, and then how that goal would end up showing up in our lives later. And I would say, well, it's because I put it on my vision board, and then I made it happen. So she's been around this enough now that even at 11, she's putting vision boards together still. But the first time she really consciously saw me do that, I did an exercise with her when she was 6, and I did it on New Year's Eve. And I sat down with her on New Year's Eve and I said, anything that you want to create for yourself in this life is possible. This year, what would you like to do? And she had a couple of ideas. She wanted to create a garden. So I had her cut out a picture of a beautiful garden. And her garden had a lot of flowers in it, not so many vegetables. Mine had more vegetables in it, hers had flowers. She put it on the vision board. And then, lo and behold, in April of that year, she got to plant flowers with me in our garden. And so she saw firsthand, and she had an experience firsthand of having what she wanted to happen actually happen. She worked for it, she planted the flowers, but then she saw that her vision had been manifested. And I think that is such an important experience to give every kid, the experience and the belief that yes, what you are envisioning can come true, right? And the thing is, very often when we become adults, it's easier for us to envision a little kid, bright-eyed and innocent, wanting something beautiful to show up in their world that year, than it is for us to even relate to ourselves. We give ourselves such a hard time for doing stuff like this. I wrote today on my blog about how horrible our inner critics can be. I actually called them our inner assholes on the thing. But, how can we say that it's okay for a 6-year-old little girl to have a vision board, but anytime we want to put something on our own vision board, what happens? Either you squelch your own ideas, or the people around you don't get it enough, and they squelch it, right? They don't really understand what you're doing. They don't understand where your vision's coming from, and they certainly don't understand or have any belief in that this weird vision that you have for your abundant career could ever be actually possible. So you get this kind of contraction energy when you try to share your ideas with the people in your own town a lot of the time. It's not their fault. It's just that what we're trying to do, there's a lot of us globally, but in our own towns, not so many. So we need to form support groups. This package actually gives you a chance to meet people like you who are also walking the path of mastering their abundant careers and creating and developing their abundant careers. You get to do that at Career Alchemy Live, but also in the Career Alchemy Online Mastermind Group. And I'm in there with you. So if you need that vibrational lift, if you need support from people who aren't going to say, no, that's not going to work. If you need support from people who are going to say, oh my gosh, I am so happy that I get to help you find the right way forward to move towards a greater alignment with your career, your abundance, your bank account, and your life purpose. I'm going to help you do that. Yes, you can do this. If you need that support in your life, with everything from technical know-how through to just pulling you out of the naysayers in your environment into that I can do this environment, this mastermind group is invaluable to you. Honestly, over the last 8 years of being in my career, yes, the skills I have learned have added up to be incredibly valuable. I've learned to do autoresponder email sequences and to put widgets and little opt-in boxes on websites and to develop websites, and I've learned to create videos and edit videos and export videos and upload them. And I've learned which platforms on the internet I prefer to host my video coaching classes on and which I don't, and how I like to do a tarot reading virtually for someone across the planet, and how I don't like to do that reading. I've learned a lot of stuff that's very skill-based, and certainly, I can, by all means, I can give you a lot of advice on that skill-based stuff for your own abundant career. But really and truly, the thing that has historically pulled me out of my abundance and the thing that has pulled me back in is being around the right people. So for that reason, I would highly recommend that if you don't have a group like the Career Alchemy Online Mastermind Group, you go ahead and find a group like that, create one for yourself, or join our group where we're already hanging out. And it's going to be invaluable. What this mastermind group is actually going to do every week online is we are going to be going through a 7-week online course series together. Actually, that's a typo. It's 8 weeks now. I decided to add an introductory week and a conclusion week that's all like full Q&A. So 7 weeks of content, but it's actually an 8-week course, that should say. And Career Alchemy is a 7-week online course that's going to lead, and you have the recordings of this course for life, but we're actually about to go through them live over the next 7 to 8 weeks. It's going to run from the end of February now to the beginning of April. And so every week, as we go through one of the 2-hour modules in the course, so total here, you're going to get about 16 to 20 hours of training. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pull to an online teleseminar, and it's just going to be you guys, our members in this program, in the Mastering Your Abundant Career program. You guys are going to be on the teleseminar, and I'm going to be on the teleseminar. If you can't make the teleseminar live, that's okay too. It will be recorded and put up for you every week to accompany that week's training. And the cool thing about the seminar is rather than just giving you the online course and saying, enjoy, good luck, what we do when we pull into that teleseminar is we make sure that you're with us. We make sure that you're on track. We make sure that you're able to roll out the next development stage of your career because that course content that week made sense to you. And the course content is going to lead you in a very logical, progressional way through something I call the 5 keys to your career, to your alchemical career. And the 5 keys relate to pretty much doors that you need to unlock or pathways that you need to walk or whatever your favorite metaphor is. But essentially you have to walk 5 paths, or you have to unlock 5 doors. You have to walk the path of purpose, which is deciding what you're here to do in your abundant career in the first place. And this can be many things, but we have a whole workshop devoted to figuring out what it is that you're supposed to be doing versus what it is that you're not supposed to be doing. And that can be really confusing for people at times, especially if you have a lot of people and you're being pulled in a lot of different directions to do a lot of things. You're probably good at a lot of things. That doesn't mean you should be doing all of them. So we need to look at what you enjoy doing, what you're good at doing, and what you enjoy doing and what you're good at doing that nobody else seems to do quite as well as you. right? And we got a whole workshop around this that's it in its simplicity, but obviously there's a lot more that we can break down and unpack so that when you come out of that first workshop on the path of purpose, you're going to know with a lot of certainty that you are on track, you are aligned, you are in congruence with your life purpose. Well, after you get that down, you have to figure out the next path, which we call the path of people. This is where we figure out who you are here to serve, who your ideal audience is, who your ideal demographic is, who you're supposed to be playing with versus who you're not. Very simply, simplest sum up of this workshop, which we have another few hours of unpacking to do with you to make sure that you get this who very right on for you. The time I heard this summarized most simply was definitely by Frank Kern in 2010. And he got on a stage and he very simply said, I think it was in San Diego somewhere, and he said, honestly, my path would have been easier if I'd have just figured out sooner that I really needed to enjoy serving the people I was serving in my business. Because when I first started out, I was basically serving people that I didn't like very much. I was serving all of these make money quick online, schemers and spammers, and I just didn't want to hang out with them. And his one secret there was you really, really should aim to have people in your programs and students in your classes, or clients on your massage table, or whatever you're doing. You need to like those people because you're going to be hanging out with them a lot. You're going to be spending a lot of time with them. And so if your career becomes successful and you don't like all the people that you're serving in your career, you're going to have a miserable life. So you got to get that one straight, and everything flows a lot more easily, when you get that one down. So, that's the path of people. And then after that, we walk through the next path, which we call the path of service. This is where we figure out, okay, we've got kind of your purpose-driven, what you want to go play with. And then we've got who you want to go play with in your abundant career. Now we need to know exactly what you're going to be serving them up. So service means, what are your offers specifically? What are you doing? Events? Are you doing courses? Are you doing a service of some description? Are you doing some sort of facilitation work? What is it specifically that you're going to put together? And how specifically do we structure that and package that for you? That's walking the path of service. That's figuring all of that stuff out. That's the third week in our course. Fourth week in our course, we roll into the path of action. And the path of action is, we figured out what we're doing, who we're doing it with, and what we're offering them, and how to structure all of that. Now we need our production schedule. Now we need our productivity. Now we need to actually walk one foot in front of another, day by day, week by week, month through our year. And it's very, very important that we start thinking of our career development at this stage in terms of an annual production schedule. Because if we're just going to think about it as how to pay the bills this month, we're never really going to make any strides towards those larger goals. We need to pull to that annual production schedule, and we show you how to operate from there in that fourth set of workshops. Fifth set of workshops, or six, I think. We have an introductory week where we go over all of these for you. That's right. So this is the sixth one, is the path of gratitude. And in week 6 on the path of gratitude, what we're going to do is we're going to pull from your career into the reason you're creating and mastering your abundant career in your first place, which of course has a lot more to do with the rest of your life than just your career, right? None of us want to, be that, 80 or 90 or 100-something-year-old person at the end of our days who says, like, everyone seems to say, and you can read this from people who care for people in their last days. There's all of those amazing articles. I've just do a Google search for them. Lessons from the end of everyone's lives, or whatever you want to Google. But essentially, a lot of people get to their own life, and they all seem to say the same thing. They wish they spent less time working. They wish they spent more time with the people that mattered to them. They wish they spent more time enjoying the things that mattered to them. You know, they all seem to get that lesson at the end of the day. The path of gratitude is about pulling out of your career into that bigger picture, that bigger, more important perspective of your whole life. Because mastering your abundant career isn't really, at the end of the day, just about your career. It's about mastering your life. It's about mastering your lifestyle. It's about how I've managed my entire adult life now to never, ever, ever need a 9-to-5 job. Okay? It's about that life mastery where we say, I choose to spend the limited time I have available to myself in my life in this way, not in that other way. So the path of gratitude very naturally occurs as sort of the last stage of career development, but then we talk about how we're just basically going to cycle back around and we're going to do the next stage of your business by going right back through the same paths. You're going to be walking these same 5 paths over and over and over again as you go through your life. Purpose, people, service, action, gratitude. Purpose, people, service, action, gratitude. And you're just going to walk those paths in that order over and over again. I've been doing it for 8 years now. This is all the way it comes around. In the path of gratitude, you pull up, this is the stage in my year, sometimes as an event producer, for instance, where my event is done and I go on vacation. It's just really that simple. And when you take a holiday, when you take a vacation, you pull back to that big picture. You're going to get the next insight, the next sort of lightning bolt of inspiration in to show you where your purpose is leading you next. If you never pull into the path of gratitude, if you never take that break, if you never reward yourself by getting what you put on that vision board and bringing that vision board into fruition, then why would you ever be motivated to make another vision board? You know, if you don't do the path of gratitude, you squelch your desire to improve because you just end up with this vibration of what's the point? You know, imagine giving that what's the point vibration to that hopeful little 6-year-old girl that we were talking about earlier. You know, who wants to squelch someone's vibration? Well, when we deny ourselves that walk through the path of gratitude, that pull up into the vacation or the experience or the aspirations manifestation that we wanted in the first place, what did you really, really, really want? What did you put on your vision board? You know, I've known people that I've tried to do vision board exercises before with, not in my career, but in my personal life. Where, you know, in your personal life, you really want to have, you know, aspirations with the people you care about. So I did this vision board exercise once with people I cared about. And there was a person in that room who I don't hang out with anymore. But he was so down, he was so depressed that he couldn't even think to put anything on a vision board. He had no ideas. He couldn't come up with anything that he wanted. You know, he was that low. And it was super, super hard for him to pull out of that, you know, from that point of just not even remembering what we wanted to create in the first place. Don't allow yourself to get there. Get your abundant career going, but then the path of gratitude at the end is what's going to pull you into a bigger and more expressive and more abundant and more joyful and enjoyable experience of your whole life. And then we step back into the path of purpose. So in the last week of this training, obviously, we're going to do a review. We're going to do a special complete Q&A session for you. Each of these weeks, we do the workshop, we do the strategic work in the workshop for each of those paths that I just described to you, and then we do that Q&A session. We have the online mastermind group where we're all talking about this together, and we've got each other to support each other in this, you know, journey that we're choosing to take. So at the end of this 7-week course, you're going to be on your feet. If you're just starting out in your abundant career, you're going to have a foundation at the end of this 7-week course, and you will have built that foundation in a very strategic way that's just guaranteed to get you where you need to go next in your career. If you're already on the path of your abundant career, this is going to be a really valuable training for you too, because you're going to get to walk those set of paths a second or a third or a fourth or a fifth time with us. And every time we walk these paths, our business expands, our experience of that pathway expands, the abundance that we get out of walking those paths expands. It's kind of like layers of an onion, or I described it in one of my trainings this week as a snowball. So you start off the snowball with, you've got to take a lot of care into making that core of the snowball, that foundation, right? Like you do in the first year or two of your abundant career. There's a lot of diligent care into that first year or two of getting your foundation structured correctly. Just like when you had to pack a snowball. But then what do you get to do after that? You get to plop the snowball down on the ground and roll it and roll it and roll it, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And the more you roll it through, the more it grows, right? So these paths sort of work like that. The first time you're building the core, the nexus, and the foundation, and then the second time you're building on that, and everything grows and grows and grows. So that's what you get out of the 7-week online course and the online mastermind group. You also get to come to some live events with me. And I'm doing 2 Career Alchemy live events coming up. We're probably going to have a third in the fall. And we had a March event that we don't have seats for anymore. It's sold out. But the option that you get when you come on to the Mastering Your Abundant Career program with us for $350 or $97 a month for 4 months is you're going to actually get 2 tickets to attend whichever of those Career Alchemy live events coming up you would prefer to attend. There are 2 coming up, one at the end of May and one at the end of August. They're both going to be in Phoenix, Arizona. Major airport coming in and out of Phoenix, Arizona. I'm going to be coming down from Flagstaff to make it easier to meet up with folks who need to fly in to Phoenix for this one. And you get to bring a friend. Normally these tickets are $497 a piece, and we're just going to be giving these 2 tickets to attend to those people who are already in touch with us, following me. You've signed up for emails from me at some point in the last 4 or 5 years somehow. And so you guys, you already know me in a way that a lot of other people that we're going to be launching to in March don't know me yet. So you guys get the early bird package. I am doing a launch that's going to be putting Career and Alchemy Live more front and center. That's coming up in March, and at that point these guys are going to be paying $497 each to come to Career Alchemy Live. I'd love to have you at that live event with me. We're going to be going over a lot of the material that we go through in this Mastering Your Abundant Career program there at the live event. And we're going to be doing it with some really brilliant attendees and really brilliant guests in that room, and really brilliant VIPs that I would love you to meet, that might be a really great addition for you into your community of peers. Again, your peer group is just so important when you're doing something like this. And most of the time, we just don't have the support around us physically in our hometown environments to really walk the path of mastering our abundant careers. So coming to live events is super important for that reason alone. I think you're going to be thrilled with the training that you receive at this live event as well. And I'd love to bring you, to have you bring a guest so that, when you do go back to your hometown, you've got someone that gets you in your hometown. You've got someone to walk this path into an abundant career with. Company is a wonderful thing to have when you're aspiring to greatness. And so, bring a friend, bring a guest, bring a family member, bring whoever you want to support you or to build out their own alchemical career. I'd love to have you both. And then we've got 2 other bonuses that I'm putting on here for the first 50 enrollments this week. The first bonus is the complete recordings from my May 2012 Successful Spirit Summit event. Successful Spirit Summit was a weekend workshop that I used to run. It's approximately 15 hours of online course content because we recorded the whole thing on Instant Teleseminar. What happened in May 2012 was we had a live event. We had that one in Scottsdale. And then we had some people who really wanted to come to the live event but were elsewhere in the world. We had a lot of people from Europe, who just weren't going to fly all the way over. So I put together a teleseminar of Successful Spirit Summit just for them so that they got to go through it live but virtually. So they logged in every day for the weekend, and I put the slides up on Instant Teleseminar for them, and I talked to them, and I trained just like I did at the live summit, and I answered a lot of questions on there too. So we've got the recordings from those sessions for you here. It's approximately 15 hours of coursework altogether, because remember, this was a whole weekend workshop. So we're going to start selling this on lauraelizabeth.com pretty soon for $350, but the summit was pretty valuable. I'd love you guys to have it before you come to Career Alchemy Live and before you go to the programs. Don't feel like you have to go through this, but if you're ready for more how and like technical know-how and how to and best strategies, that was really my focus in Successful Spirit Summit, and I think you'll find those recordings really valuable. So you've got lifetime access to them. You can go through them at any point you want. In this bonus, their bonus one for you here. Bonus 2 are some recordings that I would just love to get in as many of my students' hands as possible the more I thought about it. I ran a book club for my mastermind group several years ago, and we'll check in with our new mastermind group when you guys all enroll there, and we'll see if you guys want to do a book club as well as part of that mastermind group. I would love to run one again, but what I found was I was historically the people who I was helping into their abundant careers. I was recommending these books over and over and over again. I was recommending The Long Tail to them. Long Tail's written by Chris Anderson, who's a former editor at Wired magazine, and it really looks at some of the very real, very technical economic reasons why it really is possible for you to dream up and create a project that is in total congruent alignment with your life purpose, and someone will buy it. You will find an audience in the world for what you are uniquely here to create. There's a strategy in The Long Tail and a reality, a simple economic reality of the digital age that is really explicated well for you in The Long Tail. The Long Tail book club call basically is kind of like an audio Cliff's Notes of that book. So, even if you don't ever want to read these books for yourselves, these mini seminars that I'm giving you in bonus 2 are going to give you so much value, because in those seminars we unpack the content of the book, we discuss the content of the book, and we make the content of that book relevant to us. I was really working with a lot of people in the spirituality and wellness marketplaces. When I was putting this together, I had entrepreneurs who were body workers and counselors and intuitives and yoga teachers, and they wanted to, do an abundant career for themselves. They wanted to be in business for themselves. So I explained The Long Tail to them with their careers in their industries and niches in mind. So they're extremely relevant audio seminars. This is all in bonus 2. I have 2 other books in there for you. One is called Drive by Daniel Pink, which is an amazing book. I recommend everything that Daniel Pink writes. This one gives you a lot of the science of how to motivate yourself through actually creating and doing the work, and it's a fantastic call for that reason. And thirdly, we've got the Blue Ocean Strategy on here. We're going to be talking a lot about the Blue Ocean Strategy in that section 4 where we discuss putting your product offers together. And this teaches you how to get yourself positioned in your marketplace so you really don't have any competitors. One thing that we do a lot is we focus on our competitors and beating our competitors. And really and truly, in my own experience, as well as what they describe in the Blue Ocean Strategy, there's really competitors are irrelevant when you're making your abundant career. Your competitors don't count for anything because they're not you. They're not really your competitors. When you do this right, you create a blue ocean where there is no competition. And that's what this book talks about. Later on in your business, instead of competitors, what you find showing up are collaborators and partners, and you go do bigger things with more people. It's like the opposite of competition, really. So all those seminars in bonus 2, they're recorded, and you get lifetime access to all of those too when you get this VIP package. You get instant access to the group. you get instant access to the online course where we've got a module or two already up there for you. The introductory modules are already up in Career Alchemy. You get instant access to that when you sign up for the early bird special this week, and you get this complete package for $350, or you can do the 4-month, $97 a month plan there. We do have a limit of 50 enrollments this week only. Below this video, you're going to see a couple of buttons. One to select if you would like to, just go over this program and purchase for $350, and another button there for the payment plan option. You'll click on those and you'll go to a page that does have a summary video of this offer for you, and a button where you can actually go through and do the transaction to get in as one of these 50 enrollments. And as soon as you've put that transaction through, it's going to land you on a page that gives you instant access to the Career Alchemy course, to the Successful Spirit Summit recordings, to the bonus seminars, and to the mastermind group access. You get all of that right away as soon as your transaction ends. So be sure to stay on that page after you complete your transaction. Bookmark that page that it ends up on. I will be sending all of our members a welcome email within 24 hours of them joining our group too. And I'd love to have you as one of those 50 new enrollments this week. I'd love to see you in our online mastermind group and say hello and get to know you a little better and find out what you're doing. And I'd love to join you on your abundant career path this year. I'd love to see you develop what you're developing. I'd love to meet you at Career Alchemy Live this summer. Go ahead and join us today, and thanks so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time.